Hi, wonderfully created. Welcome back to CreatedIAm. We've already made this super simple dress, link in the description. Now let's make the half circle skirts that we're going to pair with it and wear 40 plus ways. You're going to need two measurements. One will be your waist measurement and the other one will be the length you desire the skirt to be. Take half of your waist measurement and add it to the desired length you want your skirt to be. Once you have those two combined, add on 4 centimeters. The measurement I got was about 100 centimeters. What you're then going to do is cut out a rectangle that has that width, for example 100 centimeters, but is double in length, for example 200 centimeters. Take this rectangle and fold it in half to make a square. Then fold it a second time, creating a diagonal, and then a third time, taking that diagonal up. You've now folded it 3 times. We're going to use this to cut the half circle. Take your waist measurement and divide it by 2. Start your measuring tape at the corner of this fold and mark round half of your waist measurement. You should create a curve that you can then cut out. The reason why we divided our waist by 2 is so that when we finish cutting out this waist, it will wrap around your waist 1.5 times, giving you full coverage. Now we need to cut out the length of the skirt. Take the measurement you decided you want your skirt to be, plus the 4 centimeters, and start your measuring tape at your waist. Move this around, marking on the length you want the skirt to be plus seam allowance, creating a curve. Before we move on to cutting the waistband, let's just prep this part of the skirt. What you're going to do is go all the way around the skirt and hem it everywhere apart from the waist. So take those straight edges, fold it in once, 1 centimeter, again 1 centimeter, iron it down, and then the end bottom of your skirt, fold that in once and again 1 centimeter each time. My advice is to iron that down and then sew it down using a straight stitch. Remember, when you're folding it in, to fold it in onto the wrong side, so the right side looks smooth. Now that that is done, we can cut the waistband. My waistband was about 15 centimeters thick. You want your waistband to be at least 3 times the size of your waist. My tip is to make your waistband at least 4 times the length of your waist. The longer the waistband, the more styles you'll be able to do. Before we attach the waistband to the main part of the skirt, you want to prep this as well. You're going to fold in all 4 edges only once. Fold the shorter sides in 1 centimeter and iron it down, and then fold the longest sides about 2 centimeters and iron them down. Once that's done, fold it along the whole length in half. Make sure you're folding into the wrong side and you're folding in half wrong sides together. Now that your waistband is prepped, we can start attaching it to the main part of the skirt. Find the midpoint of the waist of your skirt and find the midpoint of the waistband. We're going to start attaching it together here. What we're going to do is we're going to sandwich the main part of the skirt inside the waistband that we just folded down. Now there's different ways you can do this. What I've done here is attach the right sides together on one side, then folded it around so that the other side is there, and then pinned it in place. Then I tried this technique where I laid down the waistband flat, open it up, and then just place the main part of the skirt into the waistband. Now as you can see, when I did that and I placed the main part into the waistband, it goes up about 1 inch just to make sure it's really in there, and then I pinned it in place. You want to then continue pinning all the way down the remainder of the waistband, and then we're going to sew it in place. We're going to sew down the short end first. Keep your needle inside the sewing machine, turn it, and then continue sewing. When you hit the main part of the skirt, do a back stitch to give it strength and then continue sewing. You can tell that I turned mine around. That was just to make it easier to sew so that the main part of the skirt isn't bunching up in my sewing machine. Sew it down. Once you hit the end of the main part, do a back stitch again to give it strength. Continue down and then finish off the waistband. Later on, I did go back and sew over that line again just to give it a bit more strength. And there you go, you've now got your 2 pieces, and all that's left for you to do is to have some fun styling these out. Now you've got some simple styles and some more complex styles, so I'm going to tell you some tips and things you can do to utilize this and get the most out of it. Number one, when you choose your material, try and choose a material that has both sides the right side, so that when you tie the skirt and you see the wrong side, it still works. Mine does not have that, but the wrong side looks like the right side, so the difference is not that much. Now, if you have a piece of material that has an obvious wrong side, so that when it shows, it's obvious it's the wrong side, you might want to line it instead. So before you sew down the waistband, cut a lining piece exactly like you cut the main piece and attach them together. Tip number 2. The longer you make the waistband, the more styles you can do, but if you want to increase the amount of styles and you don't have that ability to increase the waistband, utilize safety pins and utilize belts. By doing this as well, you can secure a style in place and be confident that the tie is not going to come loose. My third tip is to try and choose a material that does not crease a lot. If you're someone who likes your clothes looking ironed and you're doing this kind of styles, it is going to rumple up your material, as mine did slightly. So you might want to choose a material that doesn't need that much ironing. Number 4. When you choose your material, I'm talking a lot about material, we'll talk about other things in a moment. When you choose a material, try and do one with a simple but obvious pattern, so that when you start tying it differently, that pattern gets manipulated with your tying and it kind of feeds and emphasizes the styles you're doing. So as you can see, mine has this beautiful green and yellow contrast, which really helps cut up the skirt and make the symmetry and the lines and the shapes pop. I think we're on tip number 5. If you like the idea of changing up a basic piece by creating a wrap skirt add on it, but you don't want a full-on skirt, create this piece but make the half circle part only about 10 inches. So then you can then utilize it as a peplum or as a simple small mini cape. Tip number 6. So the way we cut it is really good because it gives you full coverage of the skirt, but if you're able to reduce the size of the waist of the main part of the skirt, it allows you to explore other styles. What you want to do is you want to take your skirt and fold it in the middle, right sides together, and then pin about 10 inches down. This will then decrease the size of the main part of the skirt and give you a nice crease. So if you want, you could do this just once, or you could do it multiple times to create multiple folds and pleats. If you want to strengthen that, flatten it down and then pin down the flats that you created. You can then, open a new world of other styles. I had so much fun doing this, by the way. After like an hour of doing styles, I was like, I think I'm done now. I think 40 plus is enough. So I'm sure you guys can come up with your own if you do this at home. I hope you guys liked that tutorial. The link to how to make this sheath, pencil dress, basic dress, whatever you want to call it, is in the description box, as well as the links to how to make your own pattern piece and other things from CreatedIAm. Do check us out on Instagram and www.creatediam.com. And more importantly, as you express your creativeness, remember that you are wonderfully created.